as faith-based professionals, when we seek to have a growth mindset, what we are doing is we are allowing God to use us and promote us to different areas where He can use us, where He can plant us. The more we grow and the more willing we are to adapt to different environments, the more God can use us in powerful and amazing ways. May this Hello and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Inge. I am a faith-based coach focusing on all things growth mindset, helping you, the faith-based professional, to cultivate and maintain a growth mindset aligned to the mind of Christ. Now, we all know how volatile the marketplace can be. So, whether you are called to corporate, whether you are called to government, whether you are called to be an entrepreneur, our minds are so important. And that is where I come in. So, if you would like to work with a coach who can help you to really come up with a strategy to maintain a healthy mindset and to be able to adapt with the different changes that come at you while still staying confident and grounded and rooted on biblical principles. Do connect with me. It will be my honor and privilege to work with you. All of my details to connect with me you'll find in the description box. This video is part of a 3-part series specifically focused on what a growth mindset is within the backdrop of biblical principles and linking it to a God mindset. And so highlighting what that would look like, especially for us as faith-based professionals operating in the marketplace. It's sometimes quite challenging because we do find that there's a little bit of a tension between what we believe that is expected of us to operate with impact according to the rules and policies and governance frameworks in the environment that we are working in versus what God expects from us. But if we can understand that as a faith-based professional, being a child and a follower of Christ is who we are, and that is the foundation and the commencement point from which we operate, from which we conduct ourselves, from which we base our decisions. I do hope and pray that that removes a little bit of that tension and that anxiety, because we have a very clear mandate that we follow, and everything else and wherever else God plants us lays over that. So that's a very long intro, but I feel that it's quite important to establish that understanding because we are called to operate and conduct ourselves in a very specific way, in a very uncompromising way. So I do hope and pray that with these coaching videos that I publish, that they do help, that they give you some practical guidelines on how to implement these things in your life and how to apply them, or rather take them with you when you step into the marketplace on a daily basis, and always bring to remembrance what it is that I'm sharing with you. In this video, I want to touch a bit on the benefits of a growth mindset, specifically from a biblical perspective. So, when we think biblically, a growth mindset lends itself to the concept of learning and growth. In other words, we grow in wisdom, we grow in knowledge, we grow in understanding, we grow in maturity of our faith. We grow in the maturity of the fruit of the Spirit, which sits within our character, and is then exhibited through our behaviors, our decisions, the way we speak. We develop a deeper discernment, or we grow into a deeper discernment between what is good, what is evil, or the language we use in the marketplace, what is right and wrong. We also grow in godliness and righteousness. In other words, through continuous learning, we grow and gain knowledge in what God loves, approves of, dislikes, hates, and we also grow in fear of the Lord. In other words, gaining a deeper understanding and reverence to God and knowing what He considers to be sin or evil or wrong, and in so doing, learning what to avoid. As we learn and grow, there are benefits in terms of living according to God's will, walking in full obedience to His will, and thus experiencing God's blessing upon our lives, experiencing God's delighting Himself in us. We also won't perish for a lack of wisdom and knowledge, because we would know how to conduct our lives in a prudent manner. Expanding our knowledge through growth, through learning, means that even if we do go over information we've learned before, so we're able to look at the same information and make new connections based on our understanding and our existing knowledge. So we're able to look at the same information and make new connections based on what we've learned and experienced before. So when we look at this from a human trait, or a perspective of human character, people with growth mindsets exhibit a level of humility that keeps them in a mental space of understanding that they do not know everything, and so they are always willing and wanting to learn. These types of individuals are willing to surround themselves with people that have proven or lived experience, who display wisdom and is open to learning from these wise people. Biblically, this is referred to as being surrounded by wise counsel. In the corporate space, in the learning space, we refer to this as having an attitude and a mindset of lifelong learning. Now, the concept of relaying the benefits of adopting a growth mindset, I've made an attempt to illustrate this with this image. So, the action of growing and learning is that it has a compounding effect in regards to knowledge and wisdom, prudence, understanding, and discernment. These things can be measured on a continuum. So, the more we learn and expand our knowledge, the more these elements increase, deepen, and become crystallized in our minds. The added benefit of having a growth mindset is that with the knowledge and the understanding that we're gaining, we are able to apply our knowledge across different contexts, scenarios, and situations. So, the definition of reflexive competence is exactly what I'm describing here. It's where you can draw from knowledge, experience, and understanding from previous and or other situations, and then apply them to new environments and situations. So this helps to shorten the learning curve and make it less steep. So if you look at this illustration, what I'm hoping to land with you is uh, to give you a bit of a very simplistic view of typically what the learning process looks like. In other words, what the growth mindset would look like when we find ourselves in different environments. So, on the one axis, we have got knowledge gained by learning, and then on the other axis, we've got a timeline. And so I've tried to almost split the learning curve into three sort of broad sections. So when we start the curve, think about this as a new environment. It's an environment novel to us, completely new. There's no existing or foundational information or knowledge to draw from. So we essentially then start from zero. So, as time progresses, the learning curve may be steep, but we eventually, as we learn, we plateau out. Learning gets easier as time progresses because now we've built up a cache of knowledge, experiences that we can pull from, that we can learn from. So, newer concepts that we take on, that we learn, we are then able to grasp easier. So, the learning curve sort of flattens out. You might now have a situation where you move from, let's say, one department to another in the corporate space, or you decide to leave the corporate environment and start your own business as an entrepreneur. You immediately placing yourself now in a completely new environment. It's novel again to you, but you do have some built up experiences and knowledge which you can draw from. So yes, you're still going to find a bit of a dip with sort of the learning curve, because now it's a new environment, but based on the context of past learning, of past experiences, you are able to plug some of that into this new environment. So now, in this environment, that dip that you are experiencing is linked to learning a new domain of knowledge, but you quickly go into the learning curve that you've built up over the years through experience from coming from corporate. Or if you're moving from one employer to another employer, you kind of then tap back into what you've learned thus far. So when you're drawing from all of these past experiences, your time span or your time to competence is much shorter. Now, this is the benefit of having a growth mindset, particularly the attitude that goes along with a growth mindset. What a growth mindset helps us do is we are not stuck in comfort zones. We do not find ourselves stuck in mediocrity or being mediocre. um, Having an attitude of a growth mindset, we have this hunger to learn, to grow. And what it helps us to do is to always be in a forward motion. We're always being propelled forward because we are always wanting to aim for, reach for new goals, new visions. And this is also biblical because God is a God that moves forward. He is a God of new things, of new beginnings. He is quite adamant that we need to have knowledge in order to have a vision, to know where we're going. So I pray that this video inspires you to seek and attain a growth mindset. The benefits of it is immense. And as faith-based professionals, when we seek to have a growth mindset, what we are doing is we are allowing God to use us and promote us to different areas where He can use us, where He can plant us. So always be learning, always be seeking to attain knowledge, grow in wisdom, because the more we grow and the more willing we are to adapt to different environments, the more God can use us in powerful and amazing ways. May this video inspire you to always seek purpose-driven change, not just within your environment, but within yourself as you seek to grow and seek to attain impact that matters.